Hello everyone, welcome back to Blooms and Bicycles. Hope you're having a lovely November so far. Once Mother Nature's summer abundances have softly whittled away, apple trees stand with their proudly poised branches laden with clusters of fruit. Ready for the picking at the prospect of apple crumbles and pies, wicker baskets on our bicycles come into their own once more, ready for any foraging adventures. So in comes the season for the sweet crunch of toffee apples and aptly named cinder toffee, making the perfect treats to have around the blazing bonfires, which when in full roaring flame, become mesmerising as its embers that glow like the leaves on the trees, drift upwards into the night sky to blend with the stars. Today our water vessels are already prepared with the water and the flower feed. However, if you would like to learn how to prepare your flowers ahead of getting your letterbox delivery, you can find our flower care video via the link in the description box below. In today's video, we'll be sharing with you how to construct the November Embers large letterbox flowers. So to begin with, as we always do, we construct our grid using the strongest, most sturdy of stems of foliage, which in this collection today are varying colours of copper beech, which run from golden yellows to ambers and then ruby reds, then to mimosa, oak leaves and salal. Together they give a beautiful blend and balance of fiery tones and earthy greens. So unlike with our teapot letterbox flowers, we won't actually need to trim down these branches as much as we did then, given the tall height of the water vessel today. Therefore, we'll just trim away a slight amount, just to freshen up the stems at the bottom, ensuring each one has a nice clean surface area to extract up the stem as much water and nutrients as it needs from the flower feed. Removing any of the leaves which would fall under the water line, we'll then just position these 3 stems of copper beech in a triangular formation, working to the magic of 3. And as you can see, these copper beech branches are very thin and very flexible. There's a lot of sweeping motion in each of them, so we can really use this to our advantage when building out the display to get that natural fan shape by having some sweep off to the left, while some sweep off to the right, and then some sweeping and graduating up to a taller height at the back. And now to take our more upright, sturdy stems of oak leaves, which come in this beautiful tawny brown with some slight hints of green running throughout. We'll add these in at the very centre of the grid. With lots of ancient mythology centred around the oak leaf, it feels quite fitting at this time of year, given how magical it is around the time of Halloween, which has just been, to have these in a central position, featuring in the middle of the vase. Now with our salal tip, we'll add this in at the front, and this just allows the breakup of fiery tones by introducing some of the greens. And next, to take our mimosa, which as you can see when you hold it up to the back of the vase, is a reasonable height in comparison to the size of the water vessel. So given it's already a relative size, we'll leave this just as it is. And now we have the perfect grid, which will provide lots of structure to now add in this show-stopping piece of cinnamon, which actually swirls just like a scroll. So just giving this a wiggle through the grid, we'll add it into the central area of the design. So next to take our apple, which will look perfect alongside the cinnamon stick, given how synonymous these 2 items are at this time of year when combined in recipes that fill the home with aromas from the oven. So next to take our caramel coloured flowers, which are this beautiful variety of eustoma and this absolute showstopper of a chrysanthemum, which has so many delicate petals, and actually on the underneath of the petals is a flash of cerise pink, which then will graduate beautifully into some of the other flower varieties that are still to come. So given how lovely this flower is in its own right, I think making this a centerpiece is the only way to do it really in this collection. So we will trim this down to fit in the central area of our grid, maybe next to the cinnamon stick. And now with our eustoma, you can add this in as it comes to you, or you can split this off into various flower stems to create more of a distribution of the caramel colour and varying flower varieties throughout. So finding a void in the grid, making sure it's in the water, but not necessarily going all the way to the bottom of the vase. We'll just position it in a way where it roughly mirrors the position of the chrysanthemum. And now to take our toffee rose and really make the most of the experience for what it gives you, because arranging the flowers is just as much of a joy as seeing them in their vase each day that they're there. So now to add in our apple coloured roses, taking inspiration from the apple orchards we find across our lands at this time of year. We have this rose which is in a deep red and another one in the tones of a pink lady. So taking the 3 deep red roses, we'll create a triangle formation working to the magic of 3 again, and we'll cut them down to varying heights so there's lots of different points of interest. So the shortest one introduced at the very front, I think looks actually really beautiful alongside the copper beech, and you can see how these tones just complement one another so well. And see how the flowers are starting to hold themselves without too much effort. That's with thanks to the grid and the support it gives you. And the more flowers which are introduced to the grid, the easier it becomes. And now just to introduce our pink lady coloured rose, which just looks beautiful against the caramel and the toffee of this chrysanthemum and this rose in the front. And next to take our purple coloured flowers, which come in this very deep purple hue, so often found out and around nature at this time of year. With the astrantia, we'll just weave this in between to create some contrast in texture and colour, right between the caramels, toffees and apple colours shown in this part of the grid here. And to now break up the warmth of the colour palette so far, with the deep purple eustoma stem which you'll receive, in this case we'll trim away all of the flower stems so we have as many flower stems as possible to create as much of a distribution of the purple colour throughout as possible. And that unexpected twist with an unusual and unexpected colour such as the purple, as much as breaking it up and creating balance, again it's just another element of surprise. Making sure you always move around the full of the vase allows you to get a full 360-degree perspective, making sure that you don't miss or overlook any voids. So as you can see with the final piece of eustoma, we just balanced it on the rim of the vase, again using the wide shape to our advantage. So what we'll do is we'll make sure at the very end the vessel is filled as much to the top as needed to ensure those unusually angled stems do get a good drink just as much as the others which are further down. And next to add our carnation, again in a caramel colour. This is a very naturally long stem as you can see, and we'll keep it this way and use it towards the back of the design. So next, just to add a splash of Barbie at the end, which we always do in our designs. With this design, you'll receive 3 pink roses. So again, working to the magic of that number, we'll create a triangle. So with this one, we'll make that the focal point of our triangle, with the 2 smaller roses as the points at the back. And now just ensuring the eustoma doesn't outshine this rose. It might just mean you have to reposition slightly some of the stems already arranged. So adding one of the final pink ones off to the left, we'll then add the other one off to the right. So just to give it a final once over and to add some finishing touches, we might want to take a book, such as our William Shakespeare from our Canterbury Classics collection, and prop our vase on top of our book, just for added effect. And then taking the final leaves, which we removed from our oak stems and copper beech earlier, and scatter them underneath the flower arrangement as if they've just fallen from the tree. So there you have it, the November Embers large letterbox flowers. I hope you enjoy.